tells me, Daddy, I could see the shooter. He's looking this way. I don't know if he's going to shoot us or not.
As Officer Owens turned around to follow the van, multiple other officers from both the Midland Police Department and Odessa Police Department arrived on the scene. Chad proceeded to crash the van into multiple patrol cars, while simultaneously firing shots at the officers. The officers exchanged gunfire with Chad, when suddenly, the shooting finally stopped. Officers pulled Chad from the van and handcuffed him. When paramedics showed up to the scene, he was pronounced dead. There was significant damage done to the van, and the side airbags had been deployed. After searching the van, police found an AR-15 style rifle as well as a pistol. In his abandoned vehicle, police also found 4 30-round magazines. The entire rampage went on for an astounding 15 miles and lasted almost 64 minutes. The incident caused mass confusion, with both the residents of Odessa and the various police departments.
Oh my God! He's gonna kill somebody, Mom!
Look!
Oh my God! He's gonna kill somebody! Whoa! Oh my God!
There's a shooting going on in Odessa, Texas. Oh God, they're shooting right there. Oh, he hits the barrier! The cop just hit the barrier. Get out, get out, get out.
Get out, get out, get out, get out!
Stand still. He's shooting him, he's shooting him. Oh, he's killed him, he killed him.
Man, there's a shooting. We're watching the shooting happen.
Oh, he's shooting him up. He hit the barrier.
Because the crime scene was moving, it was hard for police to respond to 911 calls because they were coming in over a 15-mile range. Over the course of those 64 minutes, the entire city of Odessa was put on lockdown during the attack. During the shooting, Chad called 911 and said he was the shooter.
Well, so far we've got 21 victims that were transported to either medical center or RMC. We've also had some that were transported to Midland Memorial Hospital. So that's the count at this point.
There were 7 people killed and 25 injured in the murderous rampage. The youngest of the victims was Lila Hernandez, who was 15 years old. Born on May 4th, 2004, Lila just celebrated her quinceañera and was a sophomore at Odessa High School. She was born in Fort Stockton, Texas, making her a Texas resident for her very brief life. She was passionate about sports and was an excellent basketball and volleyball player. Lila was also very devoted to the St. Mary's Catholic Church. The mail carrier killed in the attack was 29-year-old Mary Granados. Mary was born in Mexico on December 12, 1989. One of her favorite pastimes was spending time with her family. She was very mature and described as one of the sweetest and most loving people. Mary was strong in nature, but was also sensitive. She was very hardworking and adored her job for the United States Postal Service. Mary enjoyed traveling with her boyfriend, as well as spending time with her cats.
I basically heard her scream. I think that he could have taken the car without having to kill her, Just, he could have taken the car, that's it. That's all he needed. He didn't have to take my sister.
Joseph Griffith, or Joe, was born on September 13th, 1978, and was 40 years old. He was a lifelong Odessa resident and graduated from Odessa High School in 1997. He married his junior high school sweetheart, Becky, in December of 1998. He was a very gifted and talented junior high school math teacher. Before working as a teacher, Joe was on the radio and in television. He was very involved with his church and enjoyed spending time with his children, Allison and Zachary. Edwin Perugino always lived life to the absolute fullest. He was just 25 years old when his life was unexpectedly cut short. He was a joy to be around, and always seemed to be in a good mood. He had moved to San Antonio, Texas, just 2 weeks before losing his life. Edwin was in Odessa visiting his parents for the Labor Day weekend. He was born in Garden City, Kansas on September 8, 1993. Edwin loved to work out, go out with friends, and spend time with his family. Cameron Carltus Brown went by Carltus. He was just 30 years old and was an Army veteran. He served his country in Afghanistan from March 2008 until February 2009. Before serving in the Army, Carltis attended Coleman High School. In high school, he was a very talented football player, as well as a track star. He graduated in 2007 and immediately enlisted in the Army. When Carltis returned from being overseas, he suffered from severe PTSD. In an effort to keep his mind busy, he started working for Standard Safety and Supply, driving one of their trucks. The Standard Safety and Supply website states that they, quote, strive to provide industry-leading and cost-effective health, safety, and environmental services to oil and gas producers and service companies. Rodolfo Arco, who preferred to be called Rudy, was born in Havana, Cuba, on April 17, 1962. The 56-year-old father had a son and daughter and owned a trucking company. After the Route 91 Music Festival massacre, Rudy moved his family out of Las Vegas in an attempt to find a safer place to live. He had his heart set on Odessa, Texas. Little did Rudy know that on August 31st, 2019, Odessa would be no safer than Las Vegas, Nevada. Rudy's children explained that he was an all-star dad, and that he always tried to have fun. Multiple people were injured in the attack. Officer Zach Owens was shot multiple times in the arm and hand. One of his eyes was also severely injured by the glass shrapnel. Trooper Chuck Pryor was shot in the face and was taken to the hospital in serious but stable condition. He underwent surgery that same night where he ultimately recovered. The youngest of the victims, a 17-month-old baby, was shot in the face through her bottom lip. An off-duty paramedic helped her and her mom until an ambulance arrived. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery. The majority of Odessa, Texas is located in Ector County, but a small section does expand into Midland County. Odessa had a population of around 99,000 people, making it the 29th most populous city in Texas. In 2014, Odessa was rated as the third fastest-growing small city in the United States. The total area of Odessa is around 44 square miles. It was originally founded in 1881 as a cattle shipping point and water stop located on the Texas and Pacific Railway. The town was said to be named after Odessa, Ukraine, due to the similarity in landscape. Odessa was incorporated as a city in 1927, and just 2 days later, the oil fields started to grow, and the economy rapidly started growing as well. Odessa is located above the Permian Basin, which is a large sedimentary deposit that has large reserves of oil and natural gas. The weather is typical of Texas. The summers are hot and sunny, while winters are mild and dry. Snowfall is very rare. The Salisbury companies are the largest employer, with about 4,000 employees. Chad was born on September 17, 1982 in Potter County, which is located in the Texas Panhandle. At the time of the shooting, Chad was estranged from most, if not all, of his family. He had a long history of mental health problems and a troubled past. He was known for making racist comments, and always had trouble making friends because of his odd behavior. He grew up in Central Texas, Lorena, to be more specific, and went to high school in Lorena. After high school, he attended McLennan Community College in Waco, Texas, for just one semester in the year 2000. In August of 2001, Chad was arrested in Waco for criminal trespassing and evading arrest. Both charges were misdemeanors. He also attempted to break into a woman's bedroom after he threatened to kill the woman's brother. In 2002, Chad pled guilty to the crimes. Also, in 2001, Chad attempted suicide and was taken to a psychiatric center in Waco. One time, he became uncontrollable, and the nurses who were caring for him had to lock themselves in a room. When police arrived to help, Chad came at them with a pipe. One of the officers was forced to use pepper spray to detain Chad. In 2006, Chad was committed to an institution in McLennan County because a court order deemed him to be a danger to himself and others. On February 7, 2011, Chad's mom called the police because he was refusing to take his mental health medication. He had become delusional about a government conspiracy against him. He said if his mom called the police, he would commit suicide in a police shootout. When police arrived at the home, they found a machete under Chad's bed. The police also found an underground shelter that Chad dug in the backyard. After this incident, the officers sketched out the property of the home giving it to the local SWAT team, just in case something were to happen at home. In 2012, Chad called the police and reported that people were taking pictures of him without his permission. The police were unable to obtain any proof that someone was taking pictures of Chad. In 2014, he was arrested for public intoxication by the Odessa Police Department. Chad had an older sister who committed suicide when she was just 34 years old in 2015. She shot herself in the head and was taken to the hospital. Tragically, she did not survive. His sister was a graduate of Texas A&M University. For many years, Chad would call the police, reporting that a cult was responsible for his sister's death.
He was on a long spiral of going down. He didn't wake up Saturday morning and walk into his company, and then it happened.
While Chad's behavior was odd, the way he lived was rather odd too. He lived in Odessa, on the outskirts of town, in a metal shack. It was around 20 miles from downtown Odessa, on an unmarked road off of Kermit Highway. The shack didn't have any electricity, plumbing, running water, or furniture, and the floor was made of dirt. A lot of times, he ran different items from generators, which he had all over his home. If it got cold out at night, Chad slept in his car with the engine running and the heat on.
It's a very strange residence. It's very small. I can tell you the conditions reflect what we believe his mental state was.
Neighbors said when he moved into the home, there was what they assumed to be a wife and kids. However, over time, they seemed to disappear, and Chad was left living alone with his dog. Chad's neighbors called the police, reporting him for shooting small animals, particularly rabbits, from the roof of his house. However, it appeared that no police reports were ever made. Chad yelled at his neighbors while carrying his rifle. Needless to say, his neighbors were absolutely terrified of him. In January of 2014, Chad attempted to purchase a gun. However, he failed the background check because a court had deemed him mentally unfit to own a firearm. He ended up finding a loophole in the system and was able to purchase a firearm from a private sale, which is essentially one individual selling a firearm to another. This type of sale doesn't require a background check. One neighbor in particular said that Chad was very antisocial, even nicknaming Chad El Loco. El Loco means the wild one in Spanish. Chad seemed obsessed with conspiracy theories, even calling the FBI national tip line hundreds of times in his 36 years of life. He was also known to listen to rock music very loudly. Chad never had any visitors, and neighbors would see him driving different trucks with various names written on the side of them. This made them assume that he never held a job for very long. 2 days after the shooting on September 2nd, 2019, an autopsy was done on Chad at the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's Office. The examiner found that he was not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol. It was also released that Chad was wearing green pants, an orange shirt, gray socks, and boots when he committed the shooting. He was 5 feet 9 inches and weighed in at 202 pounds. Chad suffered from bullet wounds on his knees, thighs, ribs, neck, and arm. Lacerations and abrasions were also found on his body. He had internal injuries from the bullet wounds in his lungs, liver, and bowels. Chad's skull was not penetrated. However, his face and head were injured by bullet fragments. We don't know a lot about Chad's younger years because he was estranged from his family. What we do know is that he had been on a downward spiral for many, many years.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Active Shooter, the podcast. Remember, if you see something, say something. There's no telling how many lives you may be saving.
A huge thank you to Darren Curtis, who composed some of the music used in this episode. Check him out at darrencurtismusic.com. DARRENCURTIS music.com.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter, active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
Make sure to check us out on social